If you've ever felt her pull close and then suddenly step back, your body already knows the truth before your mind catches up. That quiet tension you feel is not rejection, it's restraint, and it's one of the most misunderstood emotional signals men experience. Before we go deeper, take a second and subscribe to this channel and like this video, not because of algorithms, but because what you're about to hear will change how you interpret women forever. I'm speaking to you as a psychologist, not to flatter you, but to steady you. When a woman is emotionally invested yet protecting herself, her behavior becomes carefully contradictory. She won't announce her feelings, she'll guard them. The first sign is controlled vulnerability. She opens up just enough to feel real, then closes the door before it feels dangerous. You'll notice she shares personal stories, but never the ones that leave her fully exposed. That isn't manipulation, that is self-preservation. The second sign is hyper-awareness of your reactions. She watches your tone, your pauses, your silences, not to please you, but to assess safety. A woman who doesn't care doesn't track emotional data. A woman who does measures everything. Third, she creates emotional proximity without physical escalation. Long conversations, lingering eye contact, late-night messages that feel intimate but stop just short of crossing lines. She's feeding connection while protecting her heart. Fourth, she challenges you subtly, not with conflict, but with questions that test your values, your consistency, your emotional maturity. She needs to know if investing more would cost her peace. Fifth, she disappears briefly after moments of closeness. This confuses men, but psychologically, it's regulation. She steps back to regain control over feelings that are growing faster than her trust. Sixth, she remembers small details you forgot you shared. Preferences, fears, timing, memory is emotional investment made visible. Seventh, she supports you quietly. She shows up when it matters, not loudly, not performatively. Care without display is protection. Eighth, she deflects compliments about the relationship itself. Praise aimed at us feels risky, so she redirects it to neutral ground. Ninth, she sets boundaries that seem unnecessary. They're not walls against you, they're anchors for her. And 10th, she fears misinterpretation. She over-explains, clarifies, softens, because losing you would hurt, but losing herself would hurt more. If you understand this, you stop chasing and start becoming safe. That difference changes everything forever. When a woman is emotionally invested but protecting herself, her communication shifts in ways most men misread. You might think clarity equals honesty, but restraint often carries more truth than confession. One of the clearest signs is how she speaks around her feelings instead of through them. She'll use humor, logic, or observation to mask emotion, not because she's cold, but because emotion feels expensive when it's been mishandled before. You'll notice she asks about your past, especially how you handled women who mattered to you. She's not being curious, she's auditing risk. Patterns matter to her because she's deciding whether your future behavior will feel familiar or safe. A woman without emotional investment doesn't bother investigating character. Another behavior is emotional mirroring. She matches your pace deliberately. If you pull back, she pulls back. If you open up slightly, she meets you there, but rarely goes first. This isn't disinterest, it's calibration. She refuses to outpace you emotionally because being ahead feels like exposure. She also downplays her importance in your life. She'll say things like, "It's not a big deal," or "Don't worry about it," even when it clearly matters. This is protective minimization. If she keeps her emotional footprint small, rejection hurts less. Watch how she reacts when other women are mentioned. She won't compete openly. Instead, she becomes quieter, more contained. That internal withdrawal is emotional self-defense activating in real time. Indifference is loud. Investment goes silent. She tests reliability through small, almost invisible moments. Does she ask for minor favors? Does she notice whether you keep your word on trivial things? Trust isn't built on grand gestures. It's built on consistency under no pressure. You may also sense hesitation right after emotionally charged moments. Laughter fades. Her voice softens. She changes the subject. That's her nervous system regulating attachment before it overwhelms her. She avoids labels, not because she doesn't feel, but because naming creates vulnerability. Labels turn feelings into stakes. Another sign is protective honesty. She's truthful even when it risks connection. That's not self-sabotage, that's integrity guarding her heart. And finally, she watches how you respond to her boundaries. Not to see if you obey, but to see if you understand. Respect tells her more than affection ever could. If you misread these signals, you push. If you understand them, you lead calmly. And calm leadership is where her protection slowly becomes trust. Have you ever felt like she's just out of reach, like she's emotionally present but somehow distant? That subtle emotional pullback is one of the clearest signals that she's emotionally invested but holding herself back. It's a form of protection. She's engaged in the relationship but chooses not to fully let go, and this can often feel confusing to a man. The thing is, emotional investment isn't the same as emotional surrender. When a woman is emotionally invested yet protecting herself, she'll often give you just enough of herself to keep you close, but not enough to make herself vulnerable. She's testing her own limits while gauging yours, and the closer you get to her heart, the more you'll see this emotional dance unfold. A woman in this state will often become distant or less communicative during moments of emotional intensity. If something deep and meaningful is happening between you, maybe a conversation about the future, or a moment where you think she might let her guard down, she might suddenly pull away. Her mind races with the potential risks of moving forward, and she'll take a step back. This isn't a lack of interest. It's a mental and emotional recalibration, a protective measure that stops her from getting lost in her feelings before she knows she can trust you. What makes this particularly hard to read is that these emotional pullbacks don't happen with the same frequency. She won't push you away every time, but when it happens, it's sharp and sudden. You might see her retreat emotionally after an intense moment, even if things were going well. It's her way of checking if you're okay with her being unpredictable. Are you still there, even when she's not offering herself fully? Another aspect of this emotional protection is how she handles intimacy. She'll let you in, but only up to a certain point. She won't let you cross the threshold into full emotional connection unless she's certain that you're not going to leave once she's shown you the real her. You might get moments where she's completely open, and you might even think she's finally letting her guard down, only for her to pull back, change the subject, or give you less than you expected. This is a very common response from women who have been hurt in the past. They want closeness, but they don't want to be hurt again. They want to trust, but the risk of betrayal looms large in their mind. And so, they protect themselves by keeping one foot firmly planted in safety, even as they allow the other to inch toward you. Have you ever felt like she's just out of reach, like she's emotionally present but somehow distant? That subtle emotional pullback is one of the clearest signals that she's emotionally invested but holding herself back. It's a form of protection. She's engaged in the relationship but chooses not to fully let go, and this can often feel confusing to a man. The thing is, emotional investment isn't the same as emotional surrender. When a woman is emotionally invested yet protecting herself, she'll often give you just enough of herself to keep you close, but not enough to make herself vulnerable. She's testing her own limits while gauging yours, and the closer you get to her heart, the more you'll see this emotional dance unfold. A woman in this state will often become distant or less communicative during moments of emotional intensity. If something deep and meaningful is happening between you, maybe a conversation about the future, or a moment where you think she might let her guard down, she might suddenly pull away. Her mind races with the potential risks of moving forward, and she'll take a step back. This isn't a lack of interest, it's a mental and emotional recalibration, a protective measure that stops her from getting lost in her feelings before she knows she can trust you. What makes this particularly hard to read is that these emotional pullbacks don't happen with the same frequency. She won't push you away every time, but when it happens, it's sharp and sudden. You might see her retreat emotionally after an intense moment, even if things were going well. It's her way of checking if you're okay with her being unpredictable. Are you still there, even when she's not offering herself fully? Another aspect of this emotional protection is how she handles intimacy. She'll let you in, but only up to a certain point. She won't let you cross the threshold into full emotional connection unless she's certain that you're not going to leave once she's shown you the real her. You might get moments where she's completely open, and you might even think she's finally letting her guard down, only for her to pull back, change the subject, or give you less than you expected. This is a very common response from women who have been hurt in the past. They want closeness, but they don't want to be hurt again. They want to trust, but the risk of betrayal looms large in their mind. And so, they protect themselves by keeping one foot firmly planted in safety, even as they allow the other to inch toward you. She'll also become protective of her own time and energy. If she's feeling emotionally overwhelmed, she won't seek reassurance from you, but instead will withdraw. It's not a sign of disengagement. It's her way of trying to regain control over her emotions. She doesn't want to rely on you for emotional stability because she fears it might make her too dependent. And this brings us to an important truth. If you want her to fully open up, you need to show her that you can handle her emotional complexity. She needs to feel like you're someone who can stay grounded when she pulls back, and not someone who will panic or give up. Stability is key. Your ability to stay composed when she withdraws emotionally is a major indicator that you can be trusted with her feelings. But it's a delicate process, and if you rush her or try to force her to be open when she's not ready, you'll only reinforce the wall she's been trying to protect herself with. The key to unlocking this emotional investment is patience, respect, and a deep understanding that she is giving you pieces of herself, not to test you, but to see if you're strong enough to earn the rest. She will open up, but only when she's sure you're not just emotionally safe for her, but emotionally strong enough to handle her complexity. Have you ever caught her looking at you with a kind of quiet intensity, like she's studying you, measuring you, even when she's not saying a word? If you felt that, you're seeing one of the most powerful signs that she's emotionally invested but still protecting herself. It's a form of emotional auditing, a way for her to gauge your depth, your stability, and your character without putting her heart on the line. When a woman is emotionally invested but guarding herself, she'll often observe you more closely than you might expect. It's not just about how you look or the words you say. It's about how you move through the world. She's looking for consistency, reliability, and the kind of emotional strength that doesn't waver in the face of adversity. She wants to know if you're someone she can depend on, someone who can weather the emotional storms she's been through without being swept away. This behavior is subtle. It might look like her listening attentively, but it's more than that. It's her mind processing every word, every gesture, every shift in your energy. She's taking mental notes, not just of what you say, but how you say it. Does your tone match your intentions? Do your actions align with your words? Does your behavior match the version of yourself you show her? These are the questions she's quietly answering in her mind. You might think that if she's emotionally invested, she'd just open up completely. But for a woman in this position, vulnerability is earned, not given freely. She won't reveal her deepest feelings until she feels secure enough in your ability to handle them. It's like a secret treasure chest locked away, and you're the one trying to unlock it, slowly, carefully, and with great patience. And what you might not realize is that she's looking for clues about your emotional intelligence long before she lets you near the key. This emotional auditing also shows up in how she handles compliments or praise. If you tell her she's beautiful, she might smile, but there's a guardedness in her response. She won't fully accept the praise, almost as though she's afraid of the vulnerability it exposes. She wants to feel seen, but she also fears that being seen too deeply might lead to rejection or judgment. Similarly, she'll also test your emotional consistency in small ways. She may drop a comment, a casual remark, that could be easily brushed off, but she's watching to see if you pick up on it. She's looking for a reaction that proves you're not just emotionally reactive, but emotionally aware. The more in tune you are with her feelings, the more she will open up, but only when she's sure that you can see her completely without judging or dismissing her. Another behavior to watch for is how she protects her emotional space. A woman who is invested but protecting herself will often create distance when the relationship gets too close for comfort. It's not that she doesn't care, it's that she knows her heart is at risk and she needs to regulate how much of it she shares. She'll pull away, not because she's losing interest, but because she feels overwhelmed by the depth of her own feelings. She's testing her ability to stay grounded in the relationship without losing herself. This can be frustrating for many men, especially if they're not used to the emotional dance. It can feel like she's pulling away just when things are getting good, but this is a defense mechanism, not a rejection. She's trying to find the balance between closeness and independence, And if you push too hard, you'll make her feel like she's losing control over her own emotional boundaries. But if you step back and allow her the space she needs, you'll find that her emotional walls begin to come down, slowly but surely. She'll begin to trust that you won't smother her or take advantage of her vulnerability. And in time, as her guard lowers, you'll see the full extent of her emotional investment. Her emotional protection is not a sign of disinterest, it's a sign of care. She's guarding her heart because she values it. And when she finally feels safe enough to open it to you, you'll realize how much she's been holding back all along. That moment of trust is one of the most powerful gifts a woman can give, and it's one you'll never forget once you've earned it. If you've ever noticed her moving between extremes of emotional warmth and coldness, you're witnessing a behavior that can leave you wondering, does she care or not? The truth is, she probably does care deeply. But when a woman is emotionally invested while still protecting herself, this emotional push-pull is her way of testing the waters, her way of ensuring that giving you her trust doesn't lead to heartache. In these moments, you'll sense her getting closer, only to retreat shortly after. The intensity of her emotional investment can be overwhelming for her, so she pulls back to regain her composure. It's a natural reflex. When a woman is vulnerable, it feels both liberating and terrifying. She wants to be close to you, but is wary of losing herself in the process. One of the most telling signs of this behavior is how she responds to moments of emotional closeness. When you share something meaningful, something that reaches beyond the surface, she might give you the bare minimum of her own feelings in return. It's not that she doesn't want to be open, it's that sharing the depth of her emotions feels risky. If she's already shown you something personal, the thought of revealing more, especially if she's not entirely sure of your commitment, brings up fear. She won't fully trust until she sees your capacity to handle her deeper emotions without judgment or withdrawal. And so, when she gives you just a little, you might notice her gauging your reaction, watching to see how you respond, whether your words and actions show her that you are someone she can rely on. This emotional ambiguity can be perplexing, especially if she's been affectionate and then suddenly pulls back. It's easy to assume that she's losing interest, but in reality, she's testing the emotional waters to ensure that her feelings won't be misused. She's watching you for signs of consistency, emotional maturity, and stability. Will you chase her when she withdraws? Will you be patient when she's overwhelmed by her own emotions? How you respond to these subtle shifts will determine the course of your relationship. Her actions aren't an attempt to confuse you, they're an invitation to demonstrate that you can handle the complexity of her emotional state. She wants someone who can remain calm when she's emotionally unstable, someone who can provide a sense of safety without suffocating her. If you react with anxiety, frustration, or possessiveness, you'll only reinforce her fears and drive her further into self-protection. But if you give her space, show understanding, and allow her to open up at her own pace, you'll find that the emotional distance she's created begins to close. She will also test your emotional presence in ways that might seem small, but are incredibly telling. For example, she might become more distant when she feels like you're becoming too reliant on her emotionally. She wants to see if you can maintain your own sense of self, even while growing closer to her. She's evaluating whether you can be emotionally self-sufficient without leaning on her for validation. In her eyes, a secure man who can stand firm without needing constant reassurance is a man worth investing in. In these moments, the key to winning her trust isn't to chase her when she retreats, but to stay grounded and be present. Show her that you're someone who doesn't need constant validation, someone who is capable of dealing with emotional intensity without losing control. She's looking for a partner who can withstand her emotional ebb and flow, who won't crumble when the vulnerability feels like too much. When you prove you can do this, you create an emotional environment where she can let her guard down. Her emotional unpredictability, then, isn't a rejection of you. It's an invitation to demonstrate your strength and emotional resilience. And when you meet that challenge with patience, understanding, and emotional steadiness, you'll unlock a deeper connection, one that's built on trust, respect, and the mutual understanding that emotional vulnerability is not something to be feared, but something to be nurtured. If you've noticed that she's always there for you when it counts, but when it comes to her own needs or feelings, she's reluctant to ask for help, you're witnessing another critical sign that she's emotionally invested but protecting herself. A woman who is emotionally invested but guarded won't just rely on you to be there for her. She'll also test whether you can handle her vulnerabilities when she's the one who needs support. This behavior often shows up in moments when she's struggling internally. You might notice that she keeps her emotional battles to herself, perhaps even hiding behind a smile when she's feeling overwhelmed. When she's going through something difficult, she may refuse to ask for support, not because she doesn't trust you, but because she fears appearing weak or dependent. The idea of leaning on you too heavily feels like emotional surrender, and that's something she's learned to avoid in order to protect herself from potential heartbreak or rejection. Instead, she'll offer subtle clues, small, almost unnoticeable signs that she's struggling. A shift in her mood, a momentary withdrawal, a quiet comment about being tired or stressed. She's giving you a chance to step in, but only if you're paying attention. It's not an outright plea for help. It's a test of your emotional sensitivity and your willingness to be there for her in the most vulnerable way possible, without her needing to ask. This reluctance to fully express her emotional needs also ties into how she fears losing herself in the relationship. She doesn't want to be consumed by you, and she certainly doesn't want to lose her independence. So, when she doesn't express her needs, it's not a lack of trust, but a form of self-preservation. She's maintaining a sense of emotional autonomy because relying too heavily on someone else, no matter how much she loves you, feels like a risk. The key to navigating this is to understand that her emotional availability isn't about you failing to meet her needs. It's about her internal conflict between wanting to be emotionally close and wanting to remain emotionally protected. Her withdrawal isn't a sign of rejection. It's her way of guarding her heart until she can fully trust that you won't take advantage of her vulnerability. So how can you show her that you can handle this complexity? By demonstrating empathy, by being present when she's not asking for help, by listening intently when she speaks, not just about the surface-level issues, but about the deeper emotional currents that often go unspoken. She doesn't want you to rescue her. She wants you to be there, to witness her struggle without judgment, to support her in a way that allows her to retain her emotional independence while still feeling loved and valued. In addition to this, pay attention to how she reacts when you offer help. Does she hesitate or brush you off? This could be her testing whether you'll respect her space and her boundaries. If you continue to offer without pressure, showing her that you understand the subtlety of her emotional needs, you will prove that you're a steady presence she can rely on without losing her sense of self. A woman who is emotionally invested but protecting herself doesn't need to be constantly reassured. She needs to know that you can stand beside her, not as someone who will solve her problems, but as someone who respects her autonomy while offering emotional support. When you show her that you can strike this balance, you will gradually earn her full trust, and with that trust, the walls she's built around her heart will begin to come down. Her emotional investment is not a one-way street. It's a dance of give and take. And if you move with her, respecting her pace and understanding her need for emotional protection, she'll eventually show you the depth of her feelings. When she's finally able to let go of her fears, she'll allow herself to be fully vulnerable, not because she has to, but because she knows she's found someone worthy of that trust. And that moment will be a testament to the emotional journey you both have traveled together.